morning and welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Hump Day Wednesday. And, of course, as usual, I hope I find you well out there. Boy, you're doing really well if you've been following my advice. For the 25th, maybe the 26th time this year, it is a new all-time record high gold above 3,300. I told you. Here, I'm going to give you some more advice. Ready? Call 800-951-0592 and get more diversified. Get more gold and silver put away. Well, there's still some to do it with. The website at allamericangold.com. And, of course, we know trade wars. We heard from NVIDIA yesterday. One of the Mag 7s, $5 billion charge due to I guess, limits or licensing, whatever you want to call it, tariff that we're putting on for NVIDIA to sell. These aren't even, the charge is not even for their best chips, right? It's just these chips that they're selling to China has the markets on edge this morning. And this, we shouldn't be surprised, but there's a message being sent. Gold is sending you a message. I mean, Wall Street sending a message. And like I said, Donald Trump didn't cause this problem, and he can't fix it. And I know there's somebody, well, no, yes, he can. No, he can't. No, sorry. I want him to be able to fix it. And again, they've got a plan. And I've told you, I don't know how many times, it's a terrible plan. But it's not like they said, well, let's pass on these good plans, right, and do this terrible plan. That wasn't one of the options. This may be, you know what, here's what I don't know. This may be the best terrible plan. It could be. I don't know. But I'll need people to understand they were all terrible. And this is, we're seeing this march away from the dollar that we've never seen before. And this is the thing that really separates what's happening now to what's happened in the past, right? So, listen, they decided. We didn't decide. They decided boom and bust. That's what they decided, right? They created all these social programs that we can't afford. Well, we could have if there wasn't inflation. But that's not what they wanted. They wanted to be able to print money. And they decided boom and bust. Right? What did they do? Anytime things go, the economy looks scary, what did they do? Print money. I don't care what they called it. They call it anything they want. Print. And then guess what? They got Congress addicted. You know, all of our elected officials, they're all addicts. Every one of them. And I'm talking the hardcore kind. I'm talking about the ones that take dumps on the sidewalk in San Francisco type addicts. That's what we're talking about. What are they addicted to? Okay, it may not be heroin, but they're addicted to debt. And guess what? Now, after all of these booms, all of these busts, boom, bust, we're at this point where people are making, here's the choice. What is the flight to safety? The dollar and U.S. Treasuries? How about stocks? Nope. Bitcoin? Gold. And you see it every single day. And and it's funny because I'm sitting here thinking, Jason, we're up $600 from the beginning of the year. We're in month 4. And you sit there and you start thinking about, right, hey, if gold keeps doing what it's doing, right, all of a sudden you get right to Goldman Sachs' $4,500 gold number. And then you got to ask yourself, okay, what would lead people to come back to the dollar? Right? Somebody was like, well, if we get these tariff things taken care of, See, because you got to remember, they were already leaving the dollar. Right? That's what, let's be honest. What was BRICS really? What is it? Right? What is it really? It's a way to leave the dollar. Right? What are all the European? Why is Europe? We got no trade, anything going with Europe right now. Well, we don't want the dollar. 800-951-0592. Joe and Jason here on this Wednesday. A quick look in at the markets. So yesterday, that had some gains early, gave it back, settled lower. We're lower again today. It's not horrible. Down about 100 points right now. The S&P a little worse, down over 50 points. And then, of course, the NASDAQ, the worst of them, with NVIDIA down over 300 points. What's not down is the 10-year note. Here we go. Why? It should be. People still don't want it. Well, I shouldn't say they don't want it. They do. They do. They want some. Unfortunately, we have way more than some to sell. See the problem? Right? That's the problem. Crude oil's up over $1 today. Well, we had oil inventory report today. Cushing, Oklahoma, the lowest level for this time of year, going all the way back to the financial crisis. So 2008. And again, at this point, is it a money thing? Do we just not have the money to fill it at $60? I would think we would be filling it. Apparently not. And then, of course, gold, as we've already told you, right now, listen, it's only up 80. I say, only, right? 33.10 on gold this morning. Silver's up 50 cents, 32.75. And Jason, we keep talking about it. We keep telling you this is just getting started here. But we've got to recognize what's happening. And we sit there and we talk about, you get the signals for this, you get the signal for that, right? We know something's coming. We talk about inverted yield curves, uninverted yield curves, all of the things that are out there. But this is at least the first time, and I've been doing this for, like I said, 22 years. This is the first time, Jason, where the flight to quality isn't the dollar. And it's a much bigger change than I think most people were expecting. Like, most people are like, well, gosh, doesn't gold got to go down at some point? And, Jason, the answer is no.
Well, all I know, Joe, is the way everything is happening today with the markets. and the way that gold is reacting, this is definitely a war on the dollar for sure. There's definitely a lot of pressure on the dollar. Maybe 2020 and 2021, Joe, maybe the printing was just so out of control that there's just almost no way to get it back, right? To where people have confidence in it. Maybe we're too far, too long. It went too far in 2020, Joe. Maybe that's where we're at. Maybe it was just due to happen. I mean, we know that these world reserve currency cycles, they have a lifespan, right? But yeah, everything you just said, it's just the dollar. The currency is what Joe wants to buy something from Jason. He has to have a currency that's agreed to that we both use, so that I can transport my goods into Joe's hands. And when there's too much of that currency, that's inflation. I know, man, you hear these guys talk about, oh, look at the price of everything, that inflation. It's the dollars. And they're going to print more of these dollars. And somehow Trump, because he's the president, regardless who the president, if it was Biden or anybody else, they have to sell this idea that we need to have you, other nations, big businesses, oil tycoons, you guys got to use dollars. And usually the whole thing is, if you don't want to use dollars, we have this big army that's going to blow things up. Well, all this stuff is happening, right, Joe? There's a big army that wants to blow things up. There's a pushback against the dollar, and you have the tariff thing going on against all nations of the planet because, hey, if Japan's going to sell like crazy on a Friday, somebody's got to mop up all that selling, right, Joe? And I remember during COVID, we talked about the inflation. It was 2022. Talk about what happened during COVID, doubling the money supply. And we were talking, it's like, well, if nobody wants the dollar, there's one place you could spend them, right, Joe? There's one place you could always spend your dollars. Because I'll tell you right now, America's not going to stop spending dollars. Our currency is always good here, even if it's completely messed up. And so what's Japan doing? Like, look, we need, Joe said it, I think a couple of days ago, maybe it was late last week. He's like, Japan needs money. These corporations need money. Everyone needs money. They're going to cash out these bonds, these treasuries, so they can fill a few holes of their own, because the dollar is just not as appealing as it used to be. And sure seems like gold's appealing, Joe. People are throwing their money at Bitcoin. They're throwing it at tech stocks. They're trying to find a place to put it. Everyone's scrambling, right? And there's going to be haves and have-nots. There always, there seems like there's less haves and more have-nots every year, right, Joe? If you keep it in the currency.
Well, and again, I think Jason just lays it out very simply. I'm tracking a story here right now. I don't know. I'm trying to confirm here, but Florence Mukadi is reporting that the United States is going to up its tariff on China. Again, I'm not seeing it yet out there everywhere to 245%. That is not confirmed, but this would have a huge impact on the markets today if that ends up being the case. So we'll have to wait and see. But right now, I'm not going to confirm this. It's out there until somebody else from the White House verifies this. It may be one of these misinformation things, but that's what they're saying as of right now. The potential here is to, and again, this was Donald Trump. Trump said this all along, right? Either we're going to get it or we're not. China has traded its trade representative, and boy, here we go. It looks like they're saying the White House is clarifying this as we speak, so we'll see. But I did notice China traded out its trade representative. I think a lot of people on Wall Street thought, oh, that's a positive. And I was wondering, did they trade it for a nastier guy, right? You know what I'm saying? Versus a nicer guy. And maybe it was nastier. We'll see here. We'll keep our eye on this. But Jason, this would definitely put the markets in turmoil here.
It seems we've been talking about how bad things are for a while, Joe. We tell it that it's coming, and I enjoy it. It's still coming. I don't know when we're going to have the huge drop. Boy, it sure looked like it was just going to keep on going down there about a week ago. It just looked like it was going to stop, and somebody doesn't like the timing of it. I guess it just can't happen in April. So somebody stopped. Somehow it stopped. It tumbled for a little bit, but it seems like one of the big ones, like the Apple or the Amazon, when they're having the problems with the tariffs, it seems like it starts to tumble, and then someone's talking to somebody, but there's only so much talking that's going to work. At some point, the talking's going to be done, and the action's going to take place, Joe.
Well, we'll see. Like I said, I'm still waiting for more clarity here. And then, of course, it'll be interesting because he kind of threw Apple a bone, and if that is going to be included now, forget it. We're not going to throw the bone. I don't know. We'll keep watching here, but kind of got us away from what we were looking at. Just take a look. So the World Gold Council, again, talking about what was happening in China, talking about all-time high demand in domestic pricing in China, ETF inflows, ongoing central bank buying. Jason, this is just not letting up. And really, the only thing they say there's some weakness in gold is the jewelry. Because, well, let's face it, it's a whole lot more. A gold bracelet in 2025 is so much more. Just go back to 2023. I mean, we're getting ready to have doubled the gold price from 2023 to 2025.
Yeah, I mean, what would you consider 2023? The end of it was at $1,900. I know it was $2,000 on Valentine's Day 2024.
Yeah, right. Yeah, somewhere in that 1,800 to 2,000 range. And again, we're seeing a bevy, and of course, everybody's up in their gold price because they have to and whatnot. But $4,000, it's really hard. 4,000. I'll say this. I'm not even saying 3,500's on the clock right now. I'll be surprised if we're not at 3,500 in the next 6 weeks. I'll be surprised. And we can be higher than that. The problem is, Jason, how high is too high? I mean, go back 8 weeks ago, 4,500 sounded ridiculous. Right? It sounded 4,500. I'm talking about at the end of the year, 4,500. I'm not talking about, 2030. No, the end of this year. Sounded ridiculous. Now you're actually hearing people, it's so funny. In the last couple of weeks, you've heard these banks start talking about, well, you know what, that 4,500, that's not so crazy. Matter of fact, we kind of see it as well. But, Jason, depending on how this goes, I mean, we truly don't know. It really is incredible. We may look at 4,500 and say, boy, we missed the boat here. It's going to 6,000. We just don't know.
Well, if you count 2024, when things really started to get moving, where we're at today, it's kind of moving at about a pace of $1,000 a year, right, Joe? So we're at $1,000 a year. So you start, Valentine's Day 2024 is $2,000. It bounced up and down a little bit, but it was at $2,000. That's kind of the low for 2024. Then we're at $3,000. Now today we're at $3,300. We're about a third of the way through the year. We're at $333. That's 1/3. So if we end April at $3,350. 2 more thirds of the year, you're at $4,000. So it seems like the masters of the universe want to keep the markets floating just in a certain way and try to keep the inflation. Or it's being trying to. It looks like it's very mightily being trying to be propped up and just good enough to not panic everyone. the longer this happens, it sure appears that gold will go up $1,000 a year as they try to keep things calm. Then what happens when things aren't calm? That's when 4,000 gold at the end of the year could be 4,500 gold, 5,000 gold. It just depends on how spooked everybody gets when something that's unfixable breaks, Joe.
Yeah, the World Trade Organization is out saying that they say that global trade has deteriorated sharply, and says that a surge in tariffs and trade policy uncertainty going to be especially steep in North America, where they're forecasting almost a 13% drop this year. I've never seen anything like that. And they also said this is what makes it worse. That's not the severe downside risk number. They had to say, hey, by the way, there's a good chance this number gets a lot worse. Patriot Radio News Hour. What are you waiting for? The signals are all there. 800-951-0592. Joe and Jason here on this Wednesday. The Bank of Canada left interest rates unchanged. By the way, so here you go. Gold's already 4,600 in Canadian dollars at new all-time highs there. Of course, the Canadian government worries about a significant recession coming due to the trade wars. Right now, gold is up $87, pretty much at the highs now of the day, just below 3,320, 3,320. And I'm just going to tell you right now, 3,500 is on the clock. What happened to 3,400? It's coming, right? But 3,500 on the clock here. And I'm going to do the best that I can do on a $20 gold piece today. $3,450. You're going to save $115. But I'm going to throw a caveat. If this story, which I still am, I'm not seeing any of the majors carrying it. If this story breaks and gold goes shooting up another $100, I'm going to raise the price. But right now, $20 gold, at least for the moment, $3,450. There are rumors out there that the United States is potentially getting ready to bump the tariffs up against China to 250%. Now, China, like I said, they traded out their trade representative, and China says that they want more respect, a demand for respect, a more respectful tone, particularly from the United States, reducing disparaging remarks from U.S. cabinet members. Beijing especially angry at J.D. Vance's recent China peasant comments. So, Jason, it doesn't sound, I'm not getting a warm fuzzy here.
Well, I don't know the last time I got a warm fuzzy from anything that's going on.
Well, I mean, at this point, you would think, okay, at least something. We've had no new betterment. The last thing we heard, we may have a deal with England. A big deal.
Well, right? I'll tell you this. It is a big deal if you're trying to mop up a bunch of treasuries being sold by bigger buyers like Japan and China. I mean, you need England to buy more. You need Japan to buy more. You need... we talked about South Korea. My guess is that they're being pressured heavily to dip in heavily to save the Ponzi scheme, which is the world reserve currency dollar. So I think the only reason it makes the news is it's to keep people that are let's just throw out an example. Elon Musk, let's just say he has a portfolio with a lot of treasury. Let's just say he keeps a little there, right, to help his buddy Trump out, right? We're going to keep the dollar strong, right? Well, you got to keep a guy like that happy and feeling like, okay, yeah, it's going to work, right, Joe? It's going to work. We're going to keep the system we've got in place. It's going to work. Don't worry. We'll print up a whole bunch, and there's going to be inflation, all this stuff, but don't worry, there's going to be enough people in the Ponzi scheme to keep it rolling a few more years, Joe. A few more months, a few more years, right? So you're right. It's not warm and fuzzy to you and me because we see a train going off the tracks. I guess the only question is asked is how much of a length of track do we still have before it goes off the bridge, right? There's no bridge. The train's going to go off the bridge and crash. The dollar's going to crash, but how long is that track really, Joe? Because it seems really short at times, and then other times it's like it just doesn't seem to. The dollar doesn't seem like it's actually going to hit the grave and be completely dead. So where are we? And I think you got to report these small countries buying it as a warm and fuzzy, as you said.
Okay, so I'm getting a little more clarity here. Apparently, Donald Trump very upset because he had spoken about wanting Xi Jinping to call. Xi Jinping has not called. And on top of that, and not only did he not call, Trump has taken, affront to the fact that Xi Jinping, I don't know if you've seen it, but he was in Malaysia, Vietnam. As a matter of fact, he was signing trade deals all over these other countries that had these reciprocal tariffs, put on and then reduced to 10%. And apparently this is where the 245% is coming from, because not only did Xi Jinping not call, he went to Vietnam, Malaysia, Cambodia, reassuring those countries that they were a more reliable trade partner than the United States. But as of yet, Jason, he hasn't done it yet. So we're not at 245, but this is kind of the angst that is going on around it.
Why do I get when you're talking about not answering the phone call, it just seems like it's like America asked China to prom and China won't call back. Hey, you need to go to prom with us, and you need to answer my call now. I need to know if you're coming to prom with me or not, or I'm going to go egg your house.
You know what? I think it's more like we broke up with China
right before prom.
But we didn't tell China, and now we want China to call us so we can tell them that we broke up with you. Right? Wait a minute. We were supposed to go to prom. We didn't even call to tell them that I'm not taking you to the prom. I just told everybody else that I broke up with you. That's kind of what I add. By the way, you need to call me if you want to hear it.
It still sounds like the U.S. wants China to go to prom with them. That's what. What do they call the flowers that you put on the girl's wrist? The
corsage.
The corsage. It's like China's like, I don't want your corsage. Please don't call me. That's what it. No, you must. The corsage is like filled with a whole bunch of fiat dollars, right? No, please, China, you must. You must answer the phone call. I have a corsage. You must have. You're taking this to prom whether you like it or not. And China wants to. I don't go with Russia, maybe.
Yeah,
I've got another date.
Boy, this is getting very, very interesting, and we'll continue to watch here. I think the big takeaway so everyone out there, what do I? Oh, I missed it. You didn't miss it. That's the sad part. I saw a report yesterday that China, if this thing keeps going, has a plan to revalue its gold reserves to over 5,000 an ounce. Remember, there was talk about the U.S. revaluing it. Listen, our gold reserve, if we got it, it's becoming a lot more valuable, that's for sure. $20 gold pieces, $34.50 until the next bomb drops. 800-951-0592. Gold's up 95 now. 33.25. Listen, everything is on the table. $3,450 for a $20 gold piece. I mean, what are we like? 3.5% over the spot price. It's nothing. Jump in while you can. Do it before it gets to 4,000. Listen, I just told you 3,500 is on the table. What does on the table mean? That means I believe within the next 6 weeks and probably a month, we could see $3,500 gold. Listen, we could see it today if this nonsense ends up happening. I hope it doesn't. From the U.S. right now, they have a meeting with Japan today, South Korea next week. It just said China, Europe, Mexico, Canada. Those are going to take longer. So not good comments. Those are not helpful because, as I've told you, those are the four that actually matter. By the way, this just breaking, New York business leaders saying the economic outlook is the worst since Lehman Brothers. And again, we've been speculating. There's something we're not seeing, right? Because they won't share the data with us, so we can't see. We don't have visibility. I've been talking about this bond market. Jason, this just tells me that, because they're really talking about Wall Street. This is what they're talking about. The worst since Lehman, which tells me that they already know there could be several different candidates. It could be several, whether it's a trading firm like Lehman, major hedge funds, a big bank. We just don't know. But when they're sitting there and saying, hey, this is the worst since Lehman, this tells you, and it starts to make sense. Scott Bessent yesterday, the Treasury Secretary said, listen, if the Fed won't step in, I guess we're going to have to. The problem is they don't have the money to actually do it.
Spooky, Joe. We cover these things, and you do it well, year in, year out. But this just sounds so much worse than 2019 when not the reverse repo, the repo market was falling apart. And then overnight lending went to 10% on one or more big banks. And then what it was, just a few months later, bang, we shut down the whole world. Sure has that feel, doesn't it, Joe? No, we're not even into the October, September months. It looks spooky, Joe.
Yeah, and I just hate these comments because there's something we're not being told. We know this when I look at gold and what it's doing and how many people are piling into it. And again, it's not like we're busy, right? The phone should be ringing off the hook right now. You shouldn't be able to even get a line in here. This is what really scares the bejesus out of me, because all the real big money, that's what they're all buying gold and getting ready. And we know what happens, right? Who gets massacred in these things? Who gets slaughtered in these things? We do. So I said, you know what? You got big IRAs. What are you doing? Get on the phone. Get Arlene on the phone. Get yourself protected. Get some of that into a gold and silver IRA. You got all this money sitting in your bank accounts. Buy these 20s. Get gold. Get silver. Get something put away while you can. I mean, this is something, like I said, I truly don't know. I'm worried. I could see Donald Trump doing the 250. I actually can see that happening, right? Because let's face it, he's trying to tell China, just do this and we can make a deal. And China's like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. Right? I mean, that's just what seems like it keeps happening.
So where are the tariff levels now? Is it still the 125? Is that?
Yeah, we're at 150 on China. They're at 125 on us. But the World Trade Organization just came out and said, essentially, the trade is stopped. That's essentially what they're saying.
I mean, just last week, at the radio station, there's a few products that are being sold. One of the companies literally just went out of business. You know, the Modere thing just on Friday, Joe. Friday, Modere just went out of business. They didn't say it was tariffs. 20-something year company. The new sponsor we have, Julie DeVisser, she has this new show on at noon. It comes on after the Half Empty Cup of Joe. All her products on Friday all went up. Okay. Friday, some things were moving. The tariffs were taking effect, and I think it's preliminary, Joe. I don't look at everything on the product list going up $1. That sounds like a preliminary move. That sounds like we're going to try to ease you into it. But let me give an example. Private citizen Herb, he calls in. He's somebody I talk to on a regular tilt, and he works for a tire company. You know, he sells tires. He even flies around the country, sells tires. And I remember during the COVID, the inflation 2021, and then I remember Jack and just trying to buy tires. They weren't even pricing tires. They wouldn't give you prices on tires because it was going up so fast that, hey, if you want to buy them, this is today's price. I mean, tires were actually at a point where they were actually giving you kind of a daily chart because they didn't know how quickly the prices were moving. So obviously the supply line on tires, wherever they're manufactured to getting to your car, was very, very light. You know, it's not like a Walmart warehouse or an Amazon warehouse where, we can maybe sell this stuff at this certain price point for a little while longer, and then we'll see. So you start to see companies going out of business that need shipping from China. You see products going up that are shipped from China. The supply lines are possibly going to freeze up. Joe, we said this about a month ago. Hey, what if the tariffs just go up and then the supply lines just stop, and now you got a shutdown just like COVID, right?
800-951-0592. Jason and I. Final segment. 800-951-0592. Gold's up just under $100 here. 3,327. Silver just below now, $33. $20 gold, at least for right now, 3,450. That's $115 off at 800-951-0592. 5-ounce silver bars are bad, man. What a battle. They're in, they're out, they're in, they're out, they're in, they're out. Those of you that have been waiting on 5-ounce silver bars, we got the first shipment out. The second one's coming, I think, today and tomorrow. They'll be all out. We'll be all caught up. They're back in for right now. They're $185 if you're looking at an entry point there. Rolls of silver dimes, $130 as an example. U.S. silver eagles are $800 again, $805. U.S. silver eagles, wow. 800-951-0592 right now. Wall Street down about 150 points now. But the big move is going on the NASDAQ, down another 2% here, down about 350 points as the tariffs are taking a big bite out of the chip industry and more the tariffs on restrictions, right? The United States is saying, don't sell these chips to China. Don't sell those chips to China. Well, yeah, or if you do, pay us $5 billion to do it. And that's kind of where we're at, Jason.
Let's not, there's a lot of financial information. Let's keep in mind, gold is up $97 right now. I mean, Joe's got a little faster tick. It might be down a few bucks. It's moving up and down, but just since we've been on the air, it just keeps moving up. It was up, and Joe, I don't know where it was overnight, but it was up like $83, $85 when I woke up. Then it came down to $67 up. Since we've been on the air, it just keeps climbing. $327 to the ounce. Gold up almost $100. I got to stress this. We didn't used to have these $100 moves, and it seems like it's becoming common. But we need to say it loud and clear. Gold's up $97, Joe.
Yeah, and we talked about that this morning. I mean, a $50 move used to be crazy, right? It's 50 or 60, 80, 100. And then, of course, if it did that, it'd get whacked, right? And all this. Now it's like, yeah, gold's up $100, and everyone's like, yeah, again, right? I mean, that's kind of the attitude right now.
It's huge. It's huge. Gold moving $97 is Gold up $97 in a single day, and been doing this several times over this year and last year, is screaming at you to saying, look, you better get, Joe, how many times over the years, get your financial house in order? How many times have you said over the years?
So many. Be your own central bank. I really think this is twofold. You got to remember, we have no budget. We're getting ready. We just had tax day. We've got, 6 to 8 weeks before the Treasury's out of money, right? Because of the debt ceiling, we're in these emergency measures. How bad is this going to look? I got a feeling that the debt is going to be much worse than what they were thinking it was going to be. And Jason, like I said, thankfully, we haven't seen a huge zone. But Jason just told you, all of a sudden, all these little companies, this is what I worry about. Are we going to see a wave of companies that most people, hey, I never heard of that company, right? Well, yeah, but they were little. They were just here or they were just there. Going out of business because, hey, you know what? Economically, we just can't afford to do it any longer. 800-951-0592. Take the time, get it put away. Jason and I, we're coming right back with the half.